You're entering the future-ready CNBC TV 18 eBix Cash Studio.
Hello and welcome to the CNBC TV 18 eBix Cash Studio. I'm Shereen Bhan. The top stories on India Business Hour tonight. The Tatas win the bid for Air India. As part of the 18,000 crore rupee deal, the Tatas will take on 15,300 crore rupees in debt and pay 2,700 crore rupees in cash. The remaining debt of around 44,000 crore rupees will be transferred to a government special purpose vehicle, which is already carrying 22,000 crore rupees in debt transferred earlier. Tata Sons Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata welcomes Air India back to the Tata fold. He expects the deal to provide a strong market opportunity to the group's presence in the aviation industry. TCS fails to meet street expectations with its Q2 performance. The pace of deal wins slows, attrition sees a pickup, but the management says it's confident about the long-term visibility of growth.
When the shore is so close, we don't want to rock the boat because we realize that there is a life, there is a journey beyond the shores.
RBI leaves policy rates unchanged, keeps the stance accommodative, but unveils a gradual plan of draining liquidity by early December, also raises the limit on the amount of money transferable digitally to 5 lakh rupees. Indian equities post record closing highs with the Sensex and the Nifty up 0.6% each. Reliance fuels the rally, contributing 70% to the Nifty's gain. For the week, the benchmark indices gain over 10% each. The Delhi High Court refuses to allow Indigo promoter Rakesh Gangwal's plea against co-promoter Rahul Bhatia to enforce the award given by the London Court of International Arbitration. Says Bhatia is likely to challenge the award. The court also allows Gangwal to pay damages of $25,000 as directed in the arbitral award. In normal circumstances, if there was a murder case, the police would have chased the accused, not send invitation, observes the Supreme Court as it hears the Lakhimpur Kheri violence case. Adds that it is not satisfied with the steps taken by the UP government. Troops of India and China engage in a face-off along the line of actual control in Arunachal Pradesh. Sources say the face-off took place between the two sides last week and troops disengaged after talks. Chief Economic Advisor K.V. Subramaniam decides to return to academia following the completion of his 3-year tenure. His term is set to get over in December. Well, the big story tonight is CNBC TV 18 News Break now confirmed. The wait for the Maharaja's homecoming is over. The Tatas have won the bid for the national carrier Air India. Now, as part of the deal, the group will take on debt of 15,300 crore rupees and will pay 2,700 crore rupees in cash. The remaining 44,000 crore rupees of debt will be transferred to a government special purpose vehicle. Now, this SPV already carries 22,000 crore rupees in debt, which was transferred earlier. The share purchase agreement allows the Tatas for mergers among their airlines, and the government intends to complete the transaction by December. Tata Sons Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata has welcomed Air India back to the Tata fold. He said it will provide a very strong market opportunity to the Tata Group's presence in the aviation industry. Tata Sons Chairman N. Chandrasekaran said that Tata's winning the Air India bid is a historic moment. He said it will be a privilege for the group to own and operate the country's flag-bearer airline.
जो बिडर जीते हैं उनको मैं बधाई अर्पित करना चाहता हूं। टैलिस टाटा सन्स की कंपनी ने जो ये बिड जीता है, बहुत बड़ी एक देश की जिम्मेदारी भी आज उन पर है। मैं उनको शुभकामनाएं भी देना चाहता हूं और मुझे विश्वास है कि आने वाले समय में एक पृथक और एक महत्वपूर्ण सर्विस के आधार पर देश की 130 करोड़ जनता की सेवा जरूर उत्पन्न करने में सक्षम होंगे।
The aviation industry across the world in last 2 years has made a loss of $201 billion. Even in that situation, if the company or an airline has come forward to bid for it, we must appreciate the gesture. It's an Indian company which has come. It's a company which has a long standing. It is a company which has gone across the world. So I think it's a phenomenal, it's a decision, it's a monumental decision taken by the government.
I think the innovative approach was that the first approach was to create a Air India specific alternative mechanism to guide the process of strategic disinvestment in a time-bound manner. The next step was to actually separate non-core assets, and a separate entity was created to hold the non-core assets and separate them from the operating business. I think the third important step was to address the very sizable debt of Air India. And because of the high debt leverage of the entity, the bidders would not have come forward. And therefore, the government decided to use enterprise value as the bidding criteria rather than bid on the value of the equity.
An emotional moment for everybody in Tata, because this is our little daughter who was born in 1931 when Lord Willingdon was the Governor General of India. And she's coming back at the age of 89. So it's an emotional moment.
Yes, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, you were...
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying in between our daughter.
No, you were saying in between?
Our daughter has had many adventures, but she's our daughter, so she's coming home.
Daughter's coming home at the age of 89. You can catch my conversation with the former Civil Aviation Minister Rajiv Pratap Rudy, the Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant at 9:30 p.m. here on CNBC TV 18. We decode the fine print and the implications of this big transaction. And now a conversation with the man of the moment, the DPAM Secretary Tuhin Kanta Pandey. My colleague Sapna Das caught up with him and asked him about the rationale behind the reserve price of 12,900 crore rupees. Let's hear out what he had to say.
The reserve price is determined by the valuation methodology. This has been earlier proposed by Disinvestment Commission right from 2003, and which explains that various valuation methods have to be adopted, including business valuation as well as asset valuation. And there is the business valuation methods are in turn are several. One is a discounted cash flow method, which is most widely used, which basically discounts the future cash flows to the present value.
In this case, we use the EV.
No, just I'll come to that. Yes, whether it is EV or equity value is one and the same thing, but it has to be determined based on what are the cash flows which are coming, and then they are discounted. So there is a discounted cash flow methods. There are comparative market multiple methods. There is a balance sheet methods, and these are the business valuation methods. And then there is a asset valuation method, which is based on the finding out the net asset value. Now, as per our DPAM process, there is a two different sets of valuers are appointed, one for the asset valuation, another for the business valuation. And it's a very intricate work, and obviously these bankers, generally investment bankers, they do the transaction work. There's a tremendous amount of work they have to do to look at the balance sheet, the flows, the company's business plans, and then propose a value. And the interministerial group, which includes several secretaries from different departments, they have to look at these valuation reports, look at the presentations, ask questions, and then arrive at a reserve value, which is based on the basically proposals of the valuers. So it's not an independent work that we do, it's the independent work which is done by them, professionals, which is then proposed, and then we take a approval after the due discussion. Secondly, the reserve value is not something which is, where you are starting, reserve value is independently determined. Whereas,
yeah, but the bid can't be lower than that. So the short point I'm trying to ask is,
the bids,
people may ask that the Maharaja is going for a song.
The bids have to be independently done because we are going to the market process. It's like saying, when you go to the market, suppose you have to give out a contract. You give out a contract and you seek tenders, isn't it? You, based on that, the lowest one we do it. In case of when you are selling, you do the reverse, which you go for the highest. So there are market players, all these players, when they have to compete and in order to win a bid, they have to give their quote their maximum value based on, again, similar kind of assessment they do about the valuation of the company. So there is so much of work which needs to be done independently by the bidders, and the different kind of bidders also have to do their different kinds of assumptions and so on. And reserve value is something which we say, yes, normally speaking below that, because nobody can actually get to one value. If you ask 4 valuers also, they will come out with different valuation.
Also run me through these numbers, because 61,500 odd crores is the combined debt as of August 31 is what you indicated, right? And after that, sir, you also have the value of these
combined debt is about 46,000 crore.
Okay. So some numbers of around 61,000 crores. Can you just run us very quickly through the numbers, sir? Basic numbers.
No, the basic numbers is that, there will be about 46,000 crores of debt, and which will be going in there. There is also a 14,000 crore of assets which are going there.
14,900.
Then there would be excess liabilities also.
What are these?
Current liabilities. That net current liabilities is to 0. So if you see net basis, about 44,000 of liability minus assets burden will go to the AIHL.
Okay, this is minus the non-core assets. Minus the 14,000 odd crores.
Net basis.
Okay. Sir, how much has been transferred to the SPV till date, sir? Because we had some proposal of 29,000 crores way back, I think, in 17-18.
Yeah, so far only 22,000 odd crore has been passed.
Okay. So an additional 44 odd will now come on. So, sir, is there any plan for the repayment, any mechanism that you have in mind? And, maybe Air India bonds, maybe? I don't know. I'm asking you this. Has this been discussed within the government?
No, yes, that will be taken care of. It can be, one of the ways is the novation of the leases, guaranteed lease, novation of guaranteed bonds. So that means if Air India is paying to the lenders with a government guarantee, the lenders can agree that AIAHL will pay to the lenders with the government guarantee. So it's a novation, which means that the government of India will keep on paying through AIHL to the lenders as per the repayment period.
Well, that is the DPAM Secretary explaining what happens now as far as the debt is concerned. Remember, there is a portion of debt which will be taken on by Tatas, and the larger chunk, which is over 44,000 crore rupees, will move to a government SPV, but the government making it clear that repayment will be made to the lenders. But the big headline from the earnings space, IT major TCS has failed to meet street expectations with its Q2 performance. The pace of deal wins has slowed. Attrition has also seen a pickup. Rima is here with the details. Rima, take us through TCS's report card for this quarter.
Thanks so much for that. So TCS has missed street expectations in both revenues as well as margins. So revenue growth at 2.9% quarter-on-quarter in dollar revenue terms is lower than street expectations of 4% growth. Margins are flat at 25.6% versus expectations of a 50 basis points improvement. Deal wins have moderated over the last 2 quarters. It stands at $7.6 billion in the September quarter, and attrition is inching up. It stands at 11.9% in this quarter, which is the highest in the last 6 quarters, and it has gone up compared to 7.2% in the March quarter, but it still continues to remain at the lowest levels in the industry. In fact, the company is hiring aggressively to meet demand as well as replenish talent. So 43,000 freshers have been onboarded in the first half of the year, the highest ever that they've done in the first 6 months. They've guided for another 35,000 freshers to be added in the second half of this year, which means the fresher hiring target has practically doubled. So even as the stock at this, it's not managed to meet the street expectations, the management commentary remains very bullish. Rajesh Gopinathan talks about a once-in-a-decade opportunity to position the company as the preferred growth and transformation partner for their clients, and they're using the growth tailwind to invest in strengthening their capabilities and building out a comprehensive portfolio. The stock could correct in Monday's trade, given it didn't meet the street expectations, and the stock closed at record levels in the run-up to the earnings.
16% growth year on year. This is, as I said, one of the best quarters that we have enjoyed in many years. And not just the headline number, the broad-based nature of this growth is the standout feature of what we are seeing, whether it be across geographies or whether it be across vertical markets.
Well, that's Rajesh Gopinathan, and incidentally, his term has also been extended now for a period of 5 years. The RBI today delivered largely an expected policy. No rates have been touched. Growth projections are unchanged. And in a dash of expected dovishness, the inflation forecast for the year was cut from 5.7% earlier to 5.3%. The only tighter than expected action has come in on the liquidity front. The RBI has done away with its bond buying program, something that it started after the budget, to help push through the massive borrowing program. A complete stoppage of this GSAP was not expected though the RBI had said that it stands ready to buy as needed. Secondly, the RBI is also going to absorb more surplus liquidity through what are called variable rate reverse repos. Starting from absorbing 4 lakh crore rupees in late October, the RBI will start absorbing 6 lakh crore rupees of excess cash by early December. Let's go across to Lata now. She's standing by with her take on what today's decisions by the RBI mean. Lata.
First up, it is almost entirely on expected lines. Nothing was changed in terms of rates or even the stance. And in the stance, the whole phrase was retained in toto with not even a comma changed or inverted quotes. So, it shouldn't surprise anybody. As well, in terms of liquidity, the market was willing to expect that the GSAP could be reduced. And that's what you call the bond buying. They were expecting it to come down to maybe 50,000, but they were probably not quite prepared that it would go down to zero. But the Reserve Bank has mollified it by saying that it still remains open to do it if needed and do the other instruments like OMO. The draining of liquidity via variable rate reverse repos, what you call VRRR, taking away the excess money for a 14-day period was expected, and they expected the RBI would increase the amount, but they thought it would be 5.5 lakh crore, 5 lakh crore. RBI has decided to drain 6 lakh crore by the time we come to December. So you could say that on liquidity, it was a little more hawkish than expected, though on stance and rates, it was as expected. Now to come to some confusions that many of us can have. When the RBI describes or the MPC describes the economy, they sound somewhat positive, saying that, power, freight, PMI, a whole lot of things have improved. If the economy is so robust, it doesn't gel with why you should be keeping all the emergency measures that you introduced in June 2020. All those steps are retained. That was a minus 21%. And now we are, past plus 21, going on into 9.5. It's not gelling that, emergency steps, that vast difference between repo and reverse repo. It's normally only 25 basis. The rate at which RBI takes money is 25 basis less than the rate at which it gives money. It's expanded to 65. That's not been changed. But the most important part is this, you don't change the reverse repo, you keep it at 335. But the latest 14-day cutoff, 14-day money Reserve Bank is absorbing at 3.99%, almost 4%. So overnight money is 3.35. 14 days, almost 4%. It's not gelling, and this is not a one-off. It's happening, auction after auction. And RBI says we are doing what the market wants. The market is asking for that much, and therefore we are giving, we are taking the cutoff at that. My sense is what will happen, at the moment the 10-year has moved up only by 5 basis points because of this extra draining. Shorter tenor paper is what we are going to see rising. See, look at it from a point of view of a banker. If he is getting 3.99 for a 14-day, why should the 1 month CP, the 2 month CP, 3 month CP trade at 3.6 and 3.7? He will pull out money from that CP and put it in reverse repo. So chances are that you are going to see those rates rise a bit. That looks like the writing on the wall.
Well, on to the market action. Benchmark indices ending the day at record closing highs. The Sensex closed over 400 points higher, ending above the 60,000 mark. Nifty rose over 100 points, finishing at 17,895. In the broader markets, the mid-cap index also posted a record finish, ending 133 points higher. The Nifty Bank, though, managed to gain just 22 points. Reliance Industries was the star, contributing 70% to the Nifty's surge. For the week, the Sensex and the Nifty gained over 2%. So that's the market snapshot for you. The Kolkata bench of the Company Law Tribunal has admitted RBI's application to initiate insolvency proceedings against Shrey Group's NBFCs. The companies now come under moratorium. This means that any legal proceedings against the companies or transfer or disposal of rights or assets are now prohibited. Here's the latest in the Zee Invesco tussle. During the NCLT hearing today, Zee Entertainment sought 2 weeks' time to file its reply to Invesco's argument. Remember, the NCLT had yesterday slammed Zee Entertainment for not having the time to file a reply to Invesco, but had the time to file a 450-page suit in the High Court and a plea in the NCLAT. In today's hearing, the NCLT has directed Zee Entertainment to file a reply by the 22nd of October. And staying with court action, here's the latest in the Indigo promoters dispute, which has now reached the Delhi High Court. Hearing Rakesh Gangwal's plea, the court said it cannot enforce the arbitral award given by the London Court of International Arbitration, since the 90-day period to challenge the award has not yet expired. It added that Rahul Bhatia is likely to challenge that award. For context, the arbitral award that was held in favour of Rakesh Gangwal has directed for the removal of articles of association that restricts the transfer of the shares. Ashmit joins us now to take us through what transpired in court and where things now stand. Ashmit.
Well, far from approaching a resolution, the spat between the promoters of Indigo just seems to be getting worse. Now, just for background, let's keep in mind that Rakesh Gangwal for long has been steadfast in his demand to do away with the restrictions on transfer of shares under the Articles of Association. He has issue with two of them. One is the right of first refusal. The second one is the tag-along rights. Now, both these clauses, he was asking for the Articles of Association to be amended, and that is a big source of conflict. Now, keep in mind that after arbitration for 2 years in September, the arbitral award has held that issue in favor of Rakesh Gangwal, allowing for amendment of Articles of Association. And further, the arbitral award has said that the two parties need to come together, need to draft a resolution for together by consensus doing away with those Articles of Association that are the contentious ones. Now, it is in pursuit of this arbitral award that we understand Rakesh Gangwal had moved the Delhi High Court and had said that while there is no urgency in this case, had sought for quote-unquote groundwork to begin. And what did he mean by groundwork? Well, he essentially meant that at least draft resolution should be brought in by the two sides, by Gangwal as well as by Bhatia, to begin the groundwork, as he called, before the Delhi High Court. However, Bhatia, as well as Indigo, were steadfast in their rejection of this idea, saying that this is tantamount to enforcement, and pointing out to the Delhi High Court that the 90-day window, which is made available for challenging that arbitral award, is not over yet, and that they are likely to exercise that remedy of challenging this arbitral award in a superior court. So that's the big takeaway here. The Delhi High Court holding that enforcement cannot be allowed at this stage. Indigo has the liberty to go ahead and challenge, that Indigo is likely to challenge, and as a result indicating that far from a resolution, the spat between the two sides could just be getting worse.
All right, Ashmit, appreciate you joining us. Chief Economic Advisor K.V. Subramaniam has decided to return to academia following the completion of his 3-year tenure. His term is set to get over in December. So, getting back to academics, the question now is what happens to the economic survey next year? Half of the 135 coal-fired power plants in the country, which supply around 70% of the country's electricity, have less than 3 days' worth of fuel stock left. As a result, North Indian states Bihar, Jharkhand and Rajasthan are already witnessing higher than average power cuts. In fact, the daily load dispatch data from the grid regulator POSCO shows that the power supply deficit in the first 7 days of October is 11.2% of the total shortages that we have seen through the year. Now, the increase in fuel prices continues for the fourth day. The price of petrol has been hiked by 29 to 30 paise per litre, taking the price to 103.54 rupees in Delhi and almost 110 rupees in Mumbai. Diesel prices have increased by 35 to 37 paise per litre, which means the fuel is retailing at 92 rupees in Delhi and close to hitting a century in Mumbai at almost 100 rupees. So far, in the last 11 days, the price of petrol has been hiked by up to 2.35 rupees and diesel by 3 rupees. Here's an exclusive tonight. MobiKwik has got the approval from SEBI from its IPO. The company will raise 1,900 crore rupees through the issue, with 1,500 crores being the primary issuance. We learned that the IPO will launch before Diwali, making MobiKwik the first online payment company to list in India. Well, with that, it is a wrap on this power-packed edition of India Business Hour, Blockbuster Friday. We've seen the credit policy, we've seen the Air India Tata deal being formally announced, and of course, TCS kickstarting earnings season. For now, from all of us here, goodbye. Thanks for watching.